Greetings from Amera Astronomy Center and Jordan Planetarium at the University of Maine. My name is Sean Lotch, I'm the Planetarium Director, and I look forward to sharing some of the beauty and wonder of our universe with you. This is our virtual sky tour and astronomy update for the week of July 17th through 23rd of 2010. If you missed us last week, we of course were having an online star party, and we'll be doing another one of those on the 24th, and I'll mention more about that later in this episode. But we do want to jump into things, and there is a very special object in our sky right now that if you haven't had a chance to see, you definitely don't want to miss, and that is Comet NEOWISE. Comet NEOWISE is visible in our evening sky right now, right away after sunset. You want to go outside right around, say, 9 o'clock or so, which is into the last portion of evening twilight, and from about 9 to maybe 10 or 10:30, you'll be able to see this comet in the night sky. You want a good northwestern horizon that doesn't have too many buildings or trees. And the great news about this comet, it's going to be visible in an area of the sky that many people are familiar with. So this is part of Ursa Major, which actually includes the Big Dipper, which is just off the Finder chart here up here, but this is sort of the edge of the Big Dipper. And so if you can find the Big Dipper in the sky, you're going to look below it, and that's where you're going to see basically that comet. Now over the next few evenings, it is going to get higher and higher, and that's actually going to reach its highest on the 23rd, so basically next week Wednesday. So if it is clear the next several nights, do get out and take a look for it. The comet is visible to the unaided eye, but binoculars will definitely help you with your view of it. And here are some nice pictures that were taken. This one over here was taken by John Meter of Northern Stars Planetarium, and he used to work here at the University of Maine back when he was a student long ago. And this picture was taken in Skowhegan. It actually was part of the Bangor Daily News, our local newspaper's, of course, headline story this past week. The comet itself has a nice, beautiful tail. Comets basically are dirty snowballs. As they go around the sun will melt a portion of that comet, and the solar wind will push on it, creating the beautiful tail that we see. And just a couple other images. Here again, some more beautiful pictures of the comet. And in fact, again, this one over here with the tree taken by John Meter. This one over here on the right, you'll notice both tails, a bluish tail and a white tail. The white tail is what we would call the dust tail, and that is made by dust particles headed off, and the bluish tail is actually made of ions that are streaming off the comet as well. So again, do take a look at this comet. It is the best comet we have had in our northern hemisphere skies since basically Comet Hale-Bopp back in 1997. So definitely well worth a look. Other things that have been happening, well, this past week on the 14th, on Tuesday, we had the opposition of Jupiter, and coming up on Monday, we have the opposition of Saturn. Mars, you'll have to wait for a while, but opposition basically means the planet is directly opposite the sun, and this happens with any planets that are outside of the Earth's orbit, or past Earth's orbit, if you will, and therefore those planets, when they reach opposition, they'll be visible from sunset all the way to sunrise. So Jupiter just started that this week. Saturn is going to be starting that again on the 20th. So these two planets are going to be very beautiful for the entire evening hours and into the morning hours, again, these upcoming weeks. Well, those are some of the things that are going on in the sky right now. As I mentioned, we do have this Universe Explorers Club of Maine, which uses SLU, and you can find out about it on our website. We are doing our next online star party on Friday the 24th of July at 9 p.m. And again, we'll be conducting that via Zoom. You do need to be a member of the club to attend that star party, because we'll be using the SLU telescopes and looking at a variety of things along the way, including stars, planets, and other things. Also, for those of you who are members of our club, just a quick note that the SLU group is actually going to be doing a special event on tomorrow, Saturday, and that is, of course, the 18th of July. They're going to be doing a special comet watching portion with SLU starting at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. So the telescopes in the Canary Islands will already be online at that point. So 5 p.m. Eastern Time is when we're going to be looking at the comet using, again, that SLU telescopes as part of the Universe Explorers Club of Maine. Well, that's what we have for now. We're going to go ahead and transition over to our sky lecture and to Stellarium to take a close-up look at this week's skies. All right, we're switching gears to Stellarium as we usually do, and taking a look at our sky as you would see it again right away after sunset. And since we've been mentioning this comet, we're going to go ahead and get started with that. So starting off in the northwestern area of the sky, you're going to be able to see this comet. And we've set up the sky for about 9:30. That's right in towards the end of twilight, if you will. It's sunset right now around roughly 8:20 or so in the evening, and really it's going to be about 9:15, 9:30 before you start to get through some evening twilight. Now, to help you find that comet, look for the Big Dipper. It is probably the most recognizable pattern here in our northern hemisphere skies. 3 stars that mark the handle, 4 more that mark the bowl. And the Big Dipper, of course, you can use as an imaginary sort of pot or pan to flip a star out the open end all the way here till you come to the North Star or Polaris, and then you can come down and trace out the Little Dipper in your nighttime sky as well. Now, the Big Dipper and Little Dipper are formally called Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, the Great Bear and Little Bear. In the case of the Great Bear, 3 stars out in front mark the head. The front legs come down here, and it's almost like those front paws are standing on NEOWISE tonight. And here are the hind legs, if you will, and the handle becomes the bear's or the long tail of the bear, if you will. Well, let's go ahead. We're going to mark one of those stars, and we can draw in that Great Bear there. And again, it does look like it's almost sort of standing on top of NEOWISE here in your nighttime sky. And if we grab, again, a star here in the Little Dipper, you can see that group as well. Well, I am going to move time forward just a little bit here. I want to take you to about roughly 10 p.m. or so tonight. And that way we're going to have a little bit more darkness in our sky. So here we are about 10 o'clock, and NEOWISE still visible again, and you're going to look for it right below that Big Dipper there in your nighttime sky. So do check it out. Again, you can see it with your unaided eye if you have a dark location. Binoculars definitely will add to it. And this is the best comet that we've had, again, here in the northern hemisphere to the unaided eye since about Comet Hale-Bopp back in 1997. Well, we're going to sort of track along the horizon here as we move along. So we're going to sort of shift along the horizon all the way until we're facing sort of the direction of west and southwest. I'm going to pull out just a little bit here so we can get a bit more of our sky in. And if you can find, again, and still see that Big Dipper as you're looking, you can use it to help you find some other things here. Use the handle to arc over to Arcturus in the constellation of Boötes, which looks a little bit like an ice cream cone there in the night sky. You'll have this little circlet of stars next to it, Corona Borealis, which looks like it's smiling because maybe it's had a nice bit of that ice cream there in the sky. And we can highlight Arcturus there to, we'll highlight Arcturus to bring up Boötes the herdsman there. And then if you arc to Arcturus, you can spike down to Spica in the constellation of Virgo. And Virgo's sort of standing on her head at this time. Her head's down here. Here's one arm, the other arm down to Spica, and her gown is up in this direction here. So we can also highlight, again, that star in Virgo, Spica, for you in our night sky too. Now, the other group that just popped up a little bit before here is a group that we call Ophiuchus, or the Serpent Bear. He's kind of a faint group of stars right up in this area of the sky. But he does help you see some other things there. If you drop down below, you're going to see a very bright star, which is, of course, the star known as Scorpius, or Antares, in Scorpius the Scorpion. So Antares means rival to Mars. It marks the heart of the scorpion. Here is the head, and the tail comes all the way around to its stinger. We're going to shift all the way till we see the south, though, because that'll make it a little bit easier to see the scorpion in its entirety there. And so here we are, and if we come back with our pointer once again, we can see Antares, and here again is that scorpion, or Maui's fishhook as it's sometimes called. We can mark a star for you, and there you can see Kamakau Nui o Maui, or Scorpius the scorpion. Right next to the scorpion in our night sky, we have another group, which is Sagittarius the Archer, which looks a bit like a teapot shape. Here's the base of the teapot, the spout, the lid, and of course the handle, and the steam of the Milky Way rising up out of that teapot there in our current night sky. Now, right next to Sagittarius, you're going to notice Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter, again, reached opposition back on the 14th of this month, so basically back on Tuesday, and Saturn is going to do so on the 20th, on Monday. So both of these are going to be visible basically all night long. It's a great chance to check them out, and again, binoculars will show you the moons of Jupiter, Io, Ganymede, Callisto, and Europa. Well, if you have binoculars, we should look at some other things in the sky, and right actually in this area of Sagittarius, sort of right off the spout. If we were to zoom in a little bit, let's do that. We're going to zoom into that area. And you might notice sort of this little reddish haze up here. This is something called Lagoon Nebula. And Lagoon Nebula is a star-forming region. It's sort of a bright wisp right above that spout of Sagittarius the teapot. And it's easy to see in binoculars. Telescopes, of course, will give you a much better view, but it is well worth checking out. So I do hope that, again, if you're using your binoculars to look for Comet NEOWISE, maybe you can also check out Lagoon Nebula there right off that tip of Sagittarius. Now, if we were to zoom out just a little bit more, we can follow that Milky Way on up here from Sagittarius, our teapot, all the way up through the Summer Triangle, Vega, Deneb, and Altair. And each of those mark their own constellation. Vega is the brightest in Lyra the Harp. It's supposed to be a handheld harp. Deneb marks the tail of Cygnus the Swan, which is sort of flying through the Milky Way. And lastly, Altair, Aquila the Eagle. So those constellations there. If we use some imagination, we can draw in a bunch of those constellations. There you see sort of that whole round of them from Arcturus and Boötes the herdsman, Virgo. Of course, Ophiuchus is sort of standing on the Scorpion there, Sagittarius, and again, those stars of the Summer Triangle as well. Well, lastly, we're going to move all the way till we face the direction east. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit here so that we get a little closer view of our eastern sky. And if you were to stay up through the night into the morning hours, we're going to go ahead and advance time here a little bit rapidly. Through the night, of course, our skies are going to appear to rotate around the North Star. That's just the Earth turning beneath our feet. And around midnight, Mars is going to rise over there in the eastern sky. I'm going to keep going, however, all the way till around roughly 3 a.m. or so. And here we are just slightly after 3 a.m. In our sky. This is about roughly 3:30 in the morning. And you'll notice Venus has now come up in our skies. And Venus is going to rise around 3:30. We do have the moon. And around that time also, Comet NEOWISE is going to be in the northeast. So again, you could see that comet in the morning as well. So right after sunset or early in the morning prior to sunrise. It is getting better to see in the evening sky, however, so you probably only have a couple more days to see it in the morning sky. But again, next week, Wednesday, it's going to be at its highest point above the horizon. Do try to check out that comet. Well, this is Sean Lotch from Amera Astronomy Center. I hope you've enjoyed our little tour of the night sky and virtual astronomy update. We look forward to seeing you again. Remember, next week we won't be having one of these. We'll be doing another virtual star party online through SLU, so you do need to be a member of the Universe Explorers Club of Maine to join us for that, and we hope you'll do so. Thanks again, have a wonderful weekend, and keep your eyes on the sky.